In today's video, we're going to create this animated hero section for an interior decor business or service. So let's get started. Let's start creating our hero section. So I'm just going to start with the frame, select desktop, and we have this. I'm going to change the height to 810. Next, let's change the fill color. I'm just going to come here and copy this code for our light color that says color 2, and I'm going to change the background fill to this. Let's create our header section. So or no, let's start with a rectangle. I'm just going to click with a rectangle. I'm going to insert this, and I'm just going to increase the width so it fills the entirety of our frame, and we're going to make the height 270. Let's change the color to this dark color. I'm going to copy that, bring that here, and change the fill of this rectangle to this. Let's grab this rectangle, create a duplicate, and we have this. Let's now create our header section. So we'll start with the logo. The text is font is MonteCarlo, width is regular, size is 32, line height is 40. So I'm just going to bring a copy in, and I'm going to change the text color to this light color we're using for our background. And I'm going to type in the name of our studio, and it's Atelier Noir. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Okay, that's our company's logo, and we just have that there. Let's create the header section. So the header slash call to action button is going to be Lora. Weight is regular, size is 16, line height is 22. We're going to be using all caps. So once again, I'm just going to bring in a copy of this. I'm going to change the color, the fill color to our light color or our background color. Make this an auto layout. I'm going to get closer so we can work better with this. We're going to leave the left and right padding as it is, and let me just bring in a copy, and I'm going to bring another copy here because we're going to use it for our um, other there are going to be two other call to action buttons there. So I'm just going to have a copy here. So let's create a few copies of this. We're going to have 5 buttons here for the header section. So I'm just going to create those here. The first one is going to be all caps home. Second is going to be about. Third is going to be portfolio. Next is going to be services, and then we have contacts. Let's close this. Select all of these header buttons, make it an auto layout. We're going to make the gap 10. I'm going to just move this to the side and select this auto layout once more. It's currently set to auto. I'm just going to make it center. The width we're going to make 1210, and I'm going to center it. I like centering it and then returning it back to default, so that when we resize our desktop it will move around. I'm going to use Alt, and it's currently set as 60. We want it to be 50 from the top of our frame. And yeah, this is what we have for our header. Now let's add in our heading and body text, then we'll work on our call to action button. So the name of our font for the heading is Cinzel Decorative. Weight is regular, size is 54, the line height is 62. And I'm just going to grab a copy. Once again, I'm going to change it to our text color. And for the body, we have Lora. The weight is regular, size is 18, line height is 24. And I'm just going to once again bring it in and then change the color to our text color or the dark color. let's copy the text for the heading. All of this will be in the description below. Control Shift V so that we can paste and match the same formatting of our desk where we're pasting our content. Center that. Grab the body text. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste the body text using Control Shift and V. And I'm going to select this and move it around for now. So the call to action buttons, we're going to have two. First one is going to be, once again, all caps, view work. And then this is going to be start your project. Yes, this is what we have. Select this to make it an auto layout. Make the gap 20. Now let's move this here. So for now, let's select this tree. I'm going to use Alt H. Align them horizontally, or this is basically what I did. I used this, so you can just align horizontal centers. Then for the spacing, let's use 15. I'm going to group them for now because I want to center it. So I'm just going to grab this and make sure it's at the center, and then I'm going to ungroup it because we're going to animate these elements. And yeah, we're done with this section. Now we can start our animation. If you feel like the content is, there isn't much content or it feels a bit empty, you can go ahead and add some content here, but I'm trying to keep things simple to make our design easier. So I'll always encourage you to leave the original copy and then animate a separate one. I'm just going to right click and duplicate page, so we still have the original one there, and then we can create this. I'm just going to select all of this and delete it since we don't need it here. Now we can start animating this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to insert a rectangle just to have a backdrop to work with, because we're going to have to splice heading text. So I'm just going to create a copy and bring this in, and I'm going to bring it to the front. What we're going to do now is we have 5 words, yes, 5 words in this, and we're going to duplicate this so that we can have 5 copies. And now delete this text. Start with crafting, then for timeless, delete this. The next is stories. Going to delete this and through, leave this, and then finally we have design. Delete all of this. Now we have this text again, and we're just going to rebuild the text. Let me just move things around. Okay, I'm going to select all of them, and I'm just going to align them Alt V and make the spacing between them 15. Let me, so you can see what I'm doing, and then Control G to group them. You can make it an auto layout, but I'll just make it a group. So now we have this text. I'm going to copy it, or you could cut it, Control Shift R to replace, and it moved slightly, so I'm just going to make sure it's aligned back on our frame, and we have this. So what I'm going to do now is select this entire desktop, Control Alt K, and make this entire desktop frame a component. Now what we're going to do is select this, right click, frame selection, and then turn on clip content. Same for this one, right click, okay, no, not that one, the body text, right click, frame selection, and finally this is going to also be frame selection, and turn on clip content for this other content as well. Now what we're going to do is, for this header section, open the frame, select the entire header section, which is the frame inside our frame selection, and move it to the right. I'm holding shift while I do this, and be careful not to unintentionally take the frame out of our frame. And I'm going to use my arrow key to finish this process. And I'm going to do that till I see that red line. Okay, I'm still seeing, let me get closer just to make sure, and we can't see any of our content anymore. This one, select this. I'm going to click on enter so that I'm selecting all the text in our group, and I'm going to make all their fill 0%. This frame, open this frame, select the text. This time the text will go to the left. So I'm holding shift and I'm going to carefully move this out of the frame. I'm going to use the arrow key, the left arrow key, to finish this process, and we have this. This final one, select the frame, open the frame, and select the frame that contains our two call to action buttons. And I'm just going to use the arrow key to bring this down. Next, let me move this a bit to the side here. Select this black rectangle. I'm holding shift and move it out of the frame. Let me get closer, and I'm going to use my arrow key to finish the process. I'm going to move it till I have it completely off the screen and it's just there on the edge. Select this one and move it out of this screen or our frame, and I'm just going to use my arrow key to finish. And okay, now looking at our frame, it's just a blank frame, but it's not. So select this, add the variant, and now we can now start bringing in our content back. Start with the rectangle on top. So I'm going to select this frame. I'm just going to come to my selection. Let me close all of this. So rectangle 2 is the one on top. I'm going to use my arrow key to bring it into the frame so a little bit so I can see it. Then I'm going to use shifts. I'm still holding shift while I do this and drag it back into the frame. Select the next rectangle. Let me bring it into the frame first using my arrow keys because I don't want to unintentionally take it out of the frame. And I'm going to bring it back like this till it's back into our frame. Select this frame, create a variant. So let me click on this. Remember, I just click randomly, not technically not. I just clicked where I knew that my heading text is, and I'll just click on enter once more. Select just the first word and make the opacity 100% like that. Select this frame, new one, where this one is, select the second word, make the opacity 100%. Once again, create a new variant. Select the next word, opacity 100. New variant. This one is going to be through. We're going to make it 100%. And finally, for this heading, we're going to make the opacity 100. And yeah, we have our text animation here done. Select this variant, create a new variant, and I'm just going to click where I know my header is, select the frame. I'm going to use my arrow to start bringing it in first so I can see it, and then let me get closer. Use my mouse while holding shift. I'm going to bring this one back into the frame until I see those. Yes, and now we have our frame, our header section back in the frame. I'm going to go to the body text this time. Select the text. I'll start use my left arrow key to bring in this text a little bit, and then I can use my mouse while holding shift to bring this back in till I can see those red guidelines. Oops, and this is what I was trying to avoid. Your mouse will tell Figma where to put a particular content, and if unintentionally, your mouse moves out, it's going to take it out of the frame. Just have to be careful that it stays within the frame. You can always just put it back into the frame when you are done. Oh, yes, that's what we have. We have these two. Finally, one more variant. We're going to select this frame that has our call to action buttons. Select the frame with our call to action buttons and bring them back in like that. And yeah, this is what we have, and now we can now animate them. So let's connect our variant. Go to prototype. The connect the first one, the default, to the second variant. The trigger is going to be after delay. Delay is going to be 1 millisecond. The animation is going to be smart animate. The curve is going to be ease in and out, and the duration is going to be 3000 milliseconds. Going to zoom out, and for this one to the first text, we're going to make it after delay. Delay is going to be 1 millisecond. Curve is going to be ease in and out. Duration is going to be 800. And for all the text, we're going to use 800. So we're just going to change this to trigger to after delay. Delay is going to be 1 millisecond, and this one stays the same. So next is going to be this one. Trigger, of course, is going to be after delay. Delay is 1 millisecond. Settings remain the same. Next, this two. After delay, delay is going to be 1 millisecond. And finally, for the text, we're going to connect this one, and it's going to be after delay, and delay is going to be 1 millisecond, and every other setting remains the same. So for this next one, we're going to connect these two. That's the one that our header and our body text comes in. Make the trigger after delay. Delay is 1 millisecond. This one is going to be 3000 millisecond. And for the final one, which is the call to action button, it's going to be after delay. Delay is going to be 1 millisecond, and the duration is going to be 1500. Let me just zoom out, and just in case you didn't catch that, I'm going to just explain again. The duration from this blank screen to this one is 3000 millisecond. Trigger is delay. Let me just show you in case you want to see it. I just want to zoom out so I can explain it. Trigger is after delay. Delay is 1 millisecond. The everything is action changed to animation is smart animate. Curve is ease in and out. Duration is 3000. So I'm going to just explain it now. This to this is going to be 3000 millisecond. So this screen to the first text is going to be 800. For all text objects, that's this 5 heading text group, it's going to be 800 millisecond. So from this frame that has your text, and here is still blank, to this one is going to be 3000 millisecond. And finally, from this one to the final one, which is for our call to action buttons, is going to be 1500 millisecond. I hope you got that and it wasn't too fast. And now we can go ahead and insert another desktop frame. So I'm going to click on F, insert the desktop, and I'm going to reduce the height to 810. And I can just use Alt, create a copy of this, and just bring it into this frame, and make sure you can just even use the alignment and change the alignment, but I'm just going to make sure it's aligned into our frame, and now we can see it in the prototype view. So I'm just going to click on this desktop and run the prototype. Alright, I've opened my prototype and let me run it, and I'll just use R, and we'll have our two bars coming from the left and right. We'll have our heading text coming one by one, then the header and the body text comes in, and we have our call to action button. And that's it. If you feel like you want to move, as usual, at the end of all my videos, I'll always encourage you to move things around. Try different color combinations. Maybe try yellow and black. That's a good color combination. Maybe try different elements. If the text feel like it's too slow or it's too fast, or if any other elements are moving too fast for you, feel free to move things around. But yeah, we are done with this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.